The weeks that followed were unlike anything Daniel could have imagined. Every night that he worked, Evelyn Bradford would stop by, always pretending she was checking on maintenance or looking for paperwork. But Daniel knew. He could see the change in her, the way her sharpness softened when Lily spoke, the way her eyes lingered on the small girl as if trying to memorize her laughter. Lily, unaware of the status gap between janitor and CEO, simply treated Evelyn as a friend. She'd sit beside her, telling her stories about the colors she could hear, how yellow sounded like morning birds, how blue hummed like her dad's favorite song, and how red felt like a heartbeat. Evelyn listened like a student before a teacher, completely entranced. One night, Lily brought something new. "Miss Evelyn," she said, holding out a tiny paper folded like a square. "It's my dream house." Evelyn took it gently. "Oh? What's it like?" "Well," Lily said, smiling, "it has big windows, so Daddy can see the stars again. And there's a big dance floor so I can dance whenever I want. And you can come visit too. Daddy says it's not polite to have a big house with no guests." Evelyn's throat tightened. She didn't remember the last time anyone had invited her somewhere simply because they wanted her there, not for her title, her money, or her power. Just her. "I'd love that, Lily," she said softly. "More than anything." Daniel was leaning against the door, listening quietly. He didn't want to interrupt. He had spent years surviving, never expecting kindness from anyone. But Evelyn's presence, her patience, her gentleness with Lily, was something he hadn't realized he missed. Still, he reminded himself that she was his boss. That this fragile friendship existed only because of Lily. People like Evelyn didn't look twice at janitors like him. But life, once again, had other plans. One night, a week before Christmas, Lily collapsed. Daniel had been helping her brush her hair when she went pale, her body trembling. He caught her before she hit the floor, shouting her name over and over. The world blurred into sirens and flashing red lights. The doctors said it was complications from an infection related to her eyesight. She needed immediate treatment that cost more than Daniel made in a year. He sat by her hospital bed that night, holding her small hand, whispering every prayer he knew. She was so still, her breathing shallow. The machines beeped like ticking clocks counting down time he couldn't stop. He thought about his wife, how she'd whispered, "Take care of her, Danny," before the accident took her life. He had promised. He wasn't supposed to break that promise. When Evelyn arrived at the hospital, he didn't even notice her at first. She stood in the doorway, her face pale, her usual armor of confidence gone. She had never seen Daniel look so small, shoulders hunched, eyes hollow, tears soaking through his sleeves. He looked up finally, startled. "Ms. Bradford," he whispered. I'm sorry, I shouldn't." "Don't," she interrupted softly. "You don't have to apologize." "She's all I have," Daniel said, his voice cracking. "And I can't lose her." "Not her." Evelyn stepped forward. "How much is the treatment?" He shook his head quickly. No, I can't take your money." "This isn't about money," she said. "It's about saving her life." He looked at her, desperate and proud all at once. "You don't owe me anything." Evelyn crouched beside him, her voice trembling. "Daniel. I saw you dance with her. Do you know what that did to me? I've spent my whole life chasing things that don't matter. You reminded me what love looks like. You and Lily gave me something no one ever could, hope. Please, let me help." For a moment, the silence between them was heavy. Then Daniel broke. He lowered his head, covering his face with his hands. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice breaking into sobs. "Thank you." Evelyn reached out, placing a hand on his shoulder. "We'll get her the best care possible." And she did. Within hours, she had doctors on call, specialists from across the state, and a private room for Lily. She paid every bill without hesitation. The staff whispered about it, the cold CEO who suddenly showed compassion, who stayed all night in a hospital room beside a janitor's daughter. For days, Evelyn barely left Lily's side. She read to her, sang to her softly, and held her hand through every treatment. When Lily finally woke, her first words were faint but full of life. "Miss Evelyn. Daddy. Did I dream the stars again?" Daniel smiled through tears. "Maybe, sunshine. Maybe you danced with them." Evelyn brushed Lily's hair gently. "You're very brave, sweetheart." Lily turned toward her voice. "You sound happy now." Evelyn froze. "Happy? Your heart sounds warm," Lily said, smiling. "Like you found your color again." That night, Evelyn sat alone in the hospital hallway, staring at the city lights beyond the glass. Snow was falling again, the same way it had the night she first saw them dance. Only now, something inside her had changed forever. Her whole life, she had measured success by numbers, revenue, contracts, profit margins. But now, as she watched Daniel sleeping with his hand still holding Lily's, she realized the most valuable things in the world couldn't be measured at all. Weeks passed, and Lily recovered faster than anyone expected. The doctors said her resilience was remarkable. Evelyn visited every day, even when her schedule screamed otherwise. Daniel started to notice the way she lingered when she talked to him, the softness in her tone that hadn't been there before. Sometimes, when Lily slept, they'd share coffee in the hospital cafeteria, talking quietly about everything, her childhood, his marriage, her loneliness, his fears. They laughed more than either expected. "I always thought people like you had perfect lives," Daniel said one night. Evelyn smiled sadly. "And I always thought people like you had simple ones." "Guess we were both wrong," he said. "Guess so," she whispered. When Lily was finally discharged, Evelyn offered to drive them home. Their apartment was small, 2 rooms, cracked walls, a heater that barely worked. Evelyn's heart ached at the sight of it, but Daniel seemed almost embarrassed. "It's not much," he said. "But it's ours." Evelyn smiled. "It's perfect." Lily beamed. "Miss Evelyn, want to see my dream house drawing again?" "I'd love to." She handed it over, her tiny fingers brushing Evelyn's hand. "I think Daddy and I will live there someday." "Maybe you too." Evelyn's throat caught again. "Maybe I will." That night, as she drove home, Evelyn realized she didn't want to leave. For the first time in years, the silence in her luxury apartment felt unbearable. She missed the laughter, the sound of Lily's humming, the way Daniel looked at his daughter with unshakable love. The next morning, she called a construction company. By spring, Daniel got an unexpected call from Evelyn's office. When he arrived, Evelyn was waiting for him with a manila envelope. "What's this?" he asked. "Open it." Inside were documents, blueprints, property papers, and a single key attached to a ribbon. Daniel blinked. "What is this, Ms. Bradford?" Evelyn smiled faintly. "Your dream house, Daniel. Lily's house. You told me once she dreamed of a place with windows big enough to see the stars. Now she has one." He was speechless. I can't accept this." "It's already yours," she said softly. "Think of it as repayment for something you gave me, Faith. You reminded me what it means to care." He didn't know what to say. His throat ached, his eyes stung. "You didn't have to." "I wanted to," she interrupted. "And for the record, it's not charity. It's gratitude." A tear slid down his cheek as he whispered, "Thank you." Evelyn looked away, fighting her own tears. "You're welcome." That evening, Daniel took Lily to see the new house. When they stepped inside, Lily gasped, the living room was open and bright, the windows stretched across the wall, and the floor was wide enough to dance. She ran her hands along the walls, feeling everything. "Daddy," she cried. "It's real. My dream house is real." Daniel nodded, his voice trembling. "It's real, sunshine." Evelyn stood quietly behind them, watching. Then Lily turned to her and said, "Miss Evelyn, will you dance with us?" Evelyn froze for a moment, then nodded. "I'd be honored." Daniel took Lily's hand, Evelyn took the other. And in the fading glow of sunset, the three of them danced, a blind child, a janitor father, and a CEO who had rediscovered her heart. Outside, the city lights flickered on, but inside that house, there was a brighter kind of light, one born of love, gratitude, and second chances.